Good morning, everybody. I'm on here today real quick. So if you are tuning in live and you've caught me, make sure you ask those questions in those comments right away because I'm not going to be on here super long today. But we are going to cover market stats, and it is the month of May already, which is crazy. I'm excited for the nicer weather. I'm sure everyone who lives in Edmonton is also excited for the warmer weather. So, we are going to talk about how many listings in single family homes. So, every week we talk about what's happening in the Edmonton single family home market. And in the last few weeks, you'll see that the listings have continually increased for single family homes, which is normal and is not anything too alarming. The single family home inventory means houses for sale, continues to rise, not at an unalarming rate, but in the sense that it is in a good space. We need more options for buyers because if you're looking for a home, you're noticing there's not a whole lot of options. Now, you might realize if you're looking at new builds, there's becoming more options. The new build world, from the rumors I hear and the builders I talk to, they're not moving as quickly as they have been in the past. And honestly, that's indicative of also just the higher price points not moving. If you're looking for a newer home, you're looking at least in the 600 range, usually what I'm finding people are wanting. They have things in the fives, but those are delayed homes, and there's nothing wrong with those. But the expectation is that they want something bigger. So over $600,000 price point is moving slower, and I'm going to show you guys that in just a minute here. So the pending sales in Edmonton, there are the same, this very similar for this week than the week before, and this is something that you can take a look at. I've talked about this before. If you take a look at what's sold in the last 7 days as well, very similar. So 251 versus the 263 61 that was pending last week. Very likely those 10 could have been carried over, because if you have conditions for 2 weeks, this number would then update the week after. So nothing alarming. I wouldn't say alarming. I would say, um, if you want to take note, the real estate market, in my opinion, has changed. And we talked about this a little bit last week. We are in a seller's strong market for the 3 to 500,000 price range. And I'll show you why I mean that when you take a look at the number of sales that have happened in the last 30 days. But then if you look at over 5, over 6, over 7, with the lower amount of sales, you know that that is one, it's normal. We don't sell as many higher end properties in Edmonton. But two, the other thing you want to notice is that that market is softening. What does softening mean? It means that it's not as hot anymore. Things aren't just flying off, even if you're testing them out. So those same houses, if you had put them on the market last year at this time, likely would have sold already, because there was more demand, even though the rates were higher, and things were moving quicker, and the market was more forgiving in the sense that if the house was priced a little on the high side, you'd still see it move, at least get offers and go pending. Whereas this year, we're definitely not seeing that, and we're starting to see signs of a buyer's market in the higher price points. It is right now, I would say, balanced, and balance is something that buyers and sellers need to understand. When you're in a balanced market, the seller and the buyer have the same amount of negotiation power. Buyers cannot come in and, lowball a property, and sellers can't expect to get an arm and a leg for their house either. So a balanced market truly is meeting in the middle, where buyers and sellers are both willing to compromise and negotiate, but not one or the other is going to have the upper edge. So balanced market is something we haven't seen in a very long time. We have went from a buyer's market all the way to a seller's market, and it's been really strong. And now we're starting to see a swing back, because traditionally you slowly move in from a buyer's to a balance to then a seller's, but we just went from one way all the way to the other way. And if you take a look at last year's sales, you'll see what I'm talking about here. I've seen this whole year when we've been doing these stats. We had more sales last year than this year, and that is very much a sign of the times of things changing. We do not have the same amount of sales as last year, and we do not have more sales than last year. We actually have less. And so I believe, in my opinion, that we are sitting in that bit of a balanced market. So let me show you by showing you price points of what has sold. If I go 300 to 399, 999. So take note, there's 152. Oops, we'll just get rid of this comment here. So 152 homes sold from 300 to 399.99. If you go to 400, oops, to 499, you got 368. So 3 to 4 was that like bell curve at the bottom, and now we're going up because it went from 152 to 368. And if we do 500 to 599, you see 279. So you can see come back down, right? So 4 to 499.9, that is definitely a hotter market. We've seen a stronger market. We have seen homes move very quickly. Now they're still not doing as much as they used to, like 20 showings versus 40 to 60 showings. I mean, 20 showings is still really good, but it's a very much a different market than it was last year. And then this year at 500 to 599, those are moving, but again, a decent amount for 30 days. But let me just show you what happens when you go from 500 to 600. So now we drop to 130. That's less than the 152 for 300 to 399. And then it's going to drop even more when we get into this price range. So from 130 to now 69, that's like half. So if your home is priced in that price range, in 30 days, only 69 homes sold. So definitely your chances of selling drop substantially. Just for a fun fact, let's see how many are listed in that price point. You got 226 for sale, not pending, but for sale, and only 69 sold. So if you take a look at the stats, let me do a quick math calculation. 69 divided by 226, 31% chance of selling your house in the 700 to 799 range. Now, as we continue to go upwards, of course, you'll be correct in the guess that we will continue to go down. So 39 homes, and how many are actively for sale? 121. So 32% chance. So it's a little bit higher. Well, let's see. This price point here is the most challenging, 900 to 999. Is right under 1 million. So there's 75 homes for sale and 16 sold. So 16 divided by 75, 21% chance. So you see your chances of selling start to drop significantly. And let's do, oops, just over the million. $11 homes sold. I'm going to just go all the way to 2 million. It's a smaller amount. So that entire million range is like 38 homes. And then if we do almost to 3 million, which is we're really getting lower here, you see only 3 homes sold in the last 30 days. So, and I believe, let's take a look how many actives we have. We have 46. So if you do 3 divided by 46, it's a 7% chance of selling a $2 million home right now versus the ones that had 30% chance. And let me just quickly look at the 400 again. So we had 4 to 499 was 398 active, and sold was 368. Do you see the difference there? That's why the market's hotter. So 368 divided by 399, that's a 92% chance of selling your home at the 400 to 499. Let's just look at the 500 to 599 percentage. So 279 sold. Wait, 279 sold divided by there's 496 available in that same price range, 56. So it definitely drops, right? You went 92% to 56 to then 30 to then 20 to then it continues to go lower. So that's something you want to consider. And like I mentioned earlier, today's is a little bit of a much quicker update today. Comment below to see what areas you want to talk about next week. Next week, we'll talk all about the different areas and what's moving, and we'll talk to you next week. See you later.